Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Tan Beer texting into the Delaney's OK Tire in Langley inbox. Dollywall failed to give us the Courtnall tidbit last week. I thought his name was Scoops.
Yeah, well.
That's from Tan Beer.
Well, we got Scoops on the line from the number one guy in the country by a country mile.
That would be Elliotte Friedman. He's going to join us in a moment. All of our guests today, including Elliotte, sponsored by Passant Motors. It's May Days at Passant. Choose from one of 3 great options this month, including $1,000 Visa gift cards. Check them out online at PassantMotors.com. You want to keep Dollywall quiet. You bring up the name Tan Beer, and it's the cone of silence.
Why you bring his name up. We have pre-show meetings. Don't bring it up. You guys don't listen to me.
From Hockey Night in Canada and Sportsnet and the 31 Thoughts podcast, Elliotte Friedman. How are you, sir?
Good. I got to tell you. So Ryan calls to put me on the line. All I can hear in the background is Rick yelling. Rick's too wound up.
Elliotte, we almost talk every day, as if you don't know. Come on.
I know. It's part of your charm. How you doing, Don?
Very, very well, Elliotte. Hey, what do you think of the Canucks' interest? I know you tweeted about this. What do you think of the Canucks' interest in Geoff Courtnall?
I was a bit surprised he went public yesterday because I know sometimes teams don't always like that. I felt better about it because it kind of confirmed everything I'd been reporting. But I was surprised he went public. I think they've talked to him. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. I just think that right now, Don, this is an organization that had a plan. And the plan was to bring back Jim Benning, I think, next year. I believe that was always the intention. I think the waters have become pretty rough in the last few weeks for a lot of different reasons. I think it's, my grandmother always had a saying. She said, "You plan and God laughs." And never have we seen a better example of it than the last year in the world. And, I think it's a real challenge when you have a plan and then you realize you have to consider varying from it. And I think the Canucks are kind of in that point right now. I think they had an idea, and now they're sitting here thinking, okay, what are we going to do here? And if we do decide we have to make changes, what are those changes going to be? And I think they're reaching out and gathering information. I'm not convinced. I've seen some, I don't know if it's social media reports or reports that people out there think that, there's definitely a change coming. I'm not convinced of that, but I do think they're sitting here and saying, you know what, maybe we can't keep our plans, so if we have to make a change or some deviation to that, what's that going to look like?
Well, Elliotte, let me just say it out bluntly. Do you think Jim Benning's back? I mean, that's the big one for me.
Oh, Rick, I got to tell you, 3 weeks ago, and I said it, absolutely. And I still think it's probably more likely than I don't know how, honestly, Rick, I don't know how comfortable I am making a prediction right now. If you said to me right now that I had to bet on it, I'd probably say yes. But I'm not as certain about it as I was 3 weeks ago. I do think this week's going to be a big week. I think there's going to be a lot of conversation. There've been a lot of conversations already. I understand that, there's some real differing opinions among the hockey operations people of the Canucks about all of the talk that we've been having in media and social media last week. I think there are some people who believe there is something to it and there could be changes coming. And I've had some people tell me that it's quote-unquote white noise or total BS. So I think part of the problem is, guys, that I think people internally don't have a great handle on what the truth actually is. But I think that there are going to be some meetings and conversations this week, and I'm hoping this week, and I think everybody who works there is hoping this week there will be some more clarity on it.
Okay, the head coach, he's got 2 more games, and then he could be bolting out of town because he's got to know real quick, Elliotte, because there's 5 vacancies. If you're not going to be coaching the Canucks anymore, you better tell me because there's 5 vacancies. I need to go out and get a job. What are you thinking about Green? Is he back or not?
I just right now, if I'm betting, Rick, do you think they're acting like a team that wants the head coach?
No.
So I mean, like again, we all hear a lot of different stuff, right? And the biggest challenge is sorting out the BS versus what's really true. That's the biggest challenge. At the end of the day, I really believe actions speak. And they're just not acting like a team that wants their head coach back. Now, maybe they, as part of all these conversations they're having, they meet with Green sometime in the next 72 hours and they say, look, here's our offer. And he can decide whether or not he wants to take it. But they're not acting like a team that really is fighting hard to keep him. That's for sure.
Elliotte, do people want to work for Francesco Aquilini around the league?
I think there's only 32 of these jobs. Right, Don?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're always going to find people that are going to take it. Like 10 years ago, this was the cutting-edge organization in the National Hockey League. Now, not everybody liked how the Canucks kind of talked about themselves in that way, but there's no question that they tried some new things, they tried some different things, and they spent a lot of money. You know, don't forget that. They spent a lot of money to do some different things, whether it was using the LTIR of the cap or, you know, the sleep doctors or some of the different technology they tried. They've lost that. So what I think is this, like, in this day and age in the National Hockey League, if you think with these teams now worth $650 million, like Seattle is, if you think your owners are going to not have more of a handle on the wheel, if you think owners are going to say, here's our $650 million team, and you just go and you do whatever you want with it, those days are over. I think people who think that owners are not going to be involved are unrealistic and don't really have an idea of the way the business works. However, I do think that the Vancouver Canucks should be asking themselves a lot of questions about how they went from where they were 10 years ago to kind of what's happened now. And I think, you know, and I think that is the thing that they should be asking is, how have we lost our way and how have we lost our path?
Before we let you go, Elliotte, I think everybody agrees that the hockey on the weekend, even the Canuck game was really good. But let's
that was a good game last night.
It wasn't bad, but toss that aside. The playoff games, all one-goal games. How much do you feel having fans, limited amount, but fans in the building helped?
I'm jealous, Don.
I agree.
Like as a Canadian hockey fan, like, what would it be like for Montreal, Toronto, and Edmonton, Winnipeg?
Oh.
It would
Tremendous.
be incredible. It would be incredible. Even like your game last night, if you had a crowd there for Vancouver, Calgary, they would have been, as you guys came back in the third period, the building would have been crazy. Like I said in taping the podcast, I'm jealous of the people in Florida that they got to be at that game last night, because I thought the crowd was a huge part of the game. I mean,
Agreed. Yeah.
You know, I understand there's bigger problems right now, but it's unfortunate that, you know, we won't have crowds for those two Canadian series.
Elliotte, quickly, before we let you go, the Canucks have started talks with Pettersson and Hughes about a new deal for both guys.
Yeah.
Are you hearing anything?
Not a ton. I think Pettersson's, you know, my expectation was that there's a chance that Hughes could be more longer term than Pettersson, but I don't think there's anything done.
Elliotte, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. This has been outstanding as always.
All right, guys, take good care.
You bet.